Hi, this is Nando Reynolds, and I'm talking with you today about the neurological anatomical structures that underlie the process of change and learning. This is important to understand because we're a spiritual being channeling through a physical body. The physical body has rules, and there's really not all that much that we can do to change that, right? The elbow works this way, and there's not a lot we can do to change that. So it's sensible to accommodate to the rules of the body that we're channeling through. So one of the rules is the way that the brain actually accommodates to change, actually learns. Okay? And what happens is that axons and neurons are formed in the brain. The neuron grows new connections to different neurons, and that represents change and learning. And as these connections are used more, they become thicker and more effective. Okay, so the adage is that what fires together wires together, and what fires apart wires apart. Okay, so if we fire two things together, like we're learning how to read music and we see the note on the staff and we connect that to whatever we do with our musical instrument, then that fires together and the connection becomes stronger and stronger and stronger over time. All right, so if you think about in the beginning of some learning, you've got like a tin can with string on it. So I'm talking on this tin can, and then we graduate to an actual telephone, and then we graduate to some wiring that allows us to be even faster and faster and faster and faster. So there's some connections in your brain that are superhighways, and some connections in your brains that are like little dirt tracks. Okay. So we'd like to understand that because in the process of learning, when we learn something really, really well, it becomes a superhighway. It becomes a much more effective communication system inside the brain and between these various different axons and matrices of neurons that have the information. So anatomically, when a connection is made really strong and really fast, what happens is these glial cells build myelin sheaths, and myelin is a fatty substance, and the sheath goes around the connection. It makes the connection faster and more accurate. So the fast and accurate connections that you have in your brain, which are deeply ingrained habits, deeply ingrained habits are fast and they're accurate connections in the brain. And those are insulated with this fatty substance called myelin. Now, the interesting thing about this is that the myelin doesn't degrade until we get senile, which is why we can have someone who's lived in the United States for 40 years and has a really strong German accent. Okay? That's myelinated in their brain, and it hasn't really degraded much. It hasn't really changed much over the years, despite the fact that they've lived in the United States for decades. Okay? So we just want to understand this process. What that means is that if I have a habit to go this direction, and I want to learn to go this direction, I can't surgically remove this habit because it's myelinated. I'm going to have that myelinated connection until I become senile. And so, okay, I need to practice this pathway so much that it becomes even more deeply ingrained than the old habit. Okay? And what happens with that is that under stress, old habits arise. Under stress, we do what we are unconsciously competent at without the ability to really think about it. And so what happens is that deeply ingrained habits, good habits, bad habits, deeply ingrained habits, they show up when we're under stress. And often you can think, I've beaten this bad habit, I've got this good habit, and I've practiced that and rehearsed that so much that that's really, really what I do. And then under stress, you might find yourself doing this. And that's not because you're a bad person. It's because it's myelinated. Okay? And in the process of learning, in the process of creating excellence in your life and becoming the person that you want to be, it is essential that you understand that when you don't measure up to your own standards, when you do this instead of that, it's not because you are a bad person. It's not an opportunity to beat yourself up and crash your self-esteem. It's an opportunity to go, wow, I'm a spiritual being channeling through a physical body, and the physical body has rules. Okay? So I hope this is useful to you. I look forward to seeing you the next time, and thank you for listening.